Hi, I'm Michał Owczarek for Radio Poland, and my British guest today is George Szlachetko. Hello, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you very much for inviting me here. Thank you.
And let me start this interview in a somewhat improper manner. Beginning with your surname, because it's not a typical British surname, is it?
No, it's a Polish surname. Both of my parents came from Poland, and although I was born in London, I had a very Polish upbringing as a child.
I see. So, we a little bit got to the point of this interview, or came to the person that is that should be the hero of this interview, and is actually the main character and the hero of this book, titled Wira of the Uprising. If you accept this translation, Wira z Powstania. Could you talk a little bit briefly or at some length what this volume contains?
Yes, of course. This is the memoir written by myself of my mother's life. Danuta Szlachetko, maiden name Banaszek, who, as a 14-year-old girl in Warsaw, decided to join the conspiracy against the German occupier, and at the age of 15 took part in the Warsaw Uprising. And the book also talks about what happened to her life after capitulation, when she began a new life overseas in Great Britain. The reason it's called Wira of Warsaw is because Wira was a pseudonym during the conspiracy, which she received at the age of 14. I started writing this book about 4 years ago, initially as a family record, because I have three children and one nephew, and I wanted them to be able to know what my mother's life was like when they grew up, and were more interested in doing so. Also, my father died when I was 10 years old, and unfortunately he left no memoirs or writings about his life. I knew he was in the Polish army, within the British Army, fighting at Tobruk, followed by Monte Cassino, but I didn't know very much else, and I always felt quite cheated that I didn't have a full record of his life, so I felt it was very important to put my mother's life down in writing.
So is this book a reason you are here now? Are you launching this book in Poland now?
Yes, indeed. I launched a book in England in November of last year. The English version is called Wira of Warsaw, Memoirs of a Girl Soldier. And I've been very honoured by the publishing company Warsaw of Foxal, who decided to publish the book in Poland, and it was made available from the 20th of July, just a few weeks ago.
In what way are the British and the Polish editions different? Because I think the difference in the titles is quite revealing. Here, in the Polish edition, we've got Wira of the Uprising, and in the British edition, we've got Wira of Warsaw. Why so?
I didn't choose the name in Poland, to be perfectly honest. I chose the name in England, and it is the memoir of a girl soldier. But on the other hand, it's her whole life. It's not just about the occupation. It's not just about the uprising and the camps after the uprising. It's also about how her life developed in Great Britain. So, in some respects, my title in England is not strictly correct.
Okay, but did you change anything in the contents of the book for the Polish edition?
No, absolutely not. The book was translated very accurately by Małgorzata Maruszkin of Sezam, and I had some help in London to see that it was to make sure it was accurately translated. I'm very happy with the accuracy of the translation.
Mm-hmm. Getting back to the hero of this book, the main character, your mother. Did you and your family know about your mother's exploits before actually a thought of writing these memoirs down struck you?
Not very much, to be perfectly frank. I knew she participated in the Warsaw Uprising. I knew my father participated in the war in North Africa and Italy, but not very much, quite frankly. And as we started speaking, the purpose of the book was just to write it for my children. But as we started speaking, I got to know more and more of the details. I just became so fascinated, excited and obsessed and sad and angry as well. So I knew I had to write the book at least for myself, if nothing else. As time progressed, I realized the history was so wide and so interesting, and that people in Britain don't know too much about Poland's history. And although they now know about the Warsaw Uprising, they still know very little about it. So it developed, and I wanted some people in the English-speaking world to know a little bit more about Poland's history. So that became another objective of the book.
You said you wrote this book mainly for yourself. So I would like to ask you about some feedback from the readers. Did they say, oh no, another book on Polish, heroism or on Second World War? Or did they react, say, in a more emotional manner to this?
Well, firstly, the reaction in Great Britain has been very positive, and it's been from the point of view of not knowing much about Poland's experiences in the first place. And a film company in England has read the book and decided they really would like to try to make the film. So it's actually in development stages at the moment. And also my Member of Parliament mentioned the book in a recent debate in the House of Parliament about Poland's contribution to the British society. The reaction in Poland is obviously more recent because the book's only been out for a few weeks. But I would say it's very positive, but it's also the way I intended the book to be written, in that it was written not so much as a historical book, more bottom up. This is, if I was to summarize it, the true life story, coming of age of a young girl, and how she joined the resistance, the reasons she joined the resistance, the emotions that she went through, what she saw, what made her take that decision at the age of 14, 1 year before the Warsaw Uprising, to join the resistance. And it was quite clear to me it wasn't peer pressure, because she didn't know anybody within the resistance, and she wasn't able to tell her family about it either. And then what happened to her after the uprising? How did she end up in Britain? Why did she stay in Britain, etc., and where we are today? So I think the reaction in Poland has been that this is not a historical book. Of course, there is historical context for the benefit of the reader, but this is more about a young girl's coming of age.
And I wonder, because probably for years you didn't think about writing any memoirs down, and suddenly this thought struck you. Yes, are you a writer by profession, or what do you do to make a living?
No, I'm not a writer by profession. I was involved in finance, but in truth, I used to write quite a lot of reports in finance. So maybe I've got some basic journalistic skills. But no, I'm not a writer by profession. And I think if you're paying me the compliment of saying it's well written, then thank you very much. But I think it's because it meant so much to me that I wanted to put her emotions and feelings into the book, and I really hope I've been successful in doing that.
So how much and in what way has this book changed your life?
Well, it has changed my life. I mean, not dramatically in a sense that I'm going to do anything different with it, but it firstly brought me very much closer to my mother. And through getting to know her, I also got to know myself a little bit better. And secondly, and quite frankly, it brought me closer to Poland. Of course, I was brought up as a Polish child, but when I got older, I just entered a career, and my entire existence was within an English sphere. And I'm learning more about myself, and I'm feeling more Polish than I ever did before.
So are you going to embark on a writing career maybe in the future, or are you going to write about your father too in a not too distant future?
I don't currently have any plans to write a second book. The thing is, this life story was so immense. It had to be written. So it was written for that reason, not because I wanted to write books. But having said that, I really did enjoy the process. So maybe at some point in the future, if I find the right subject and I can get equally interested in it, then perhaps I would consider writing another book.
Okay, George Szlachetko, author of the book Wira of Warsaw, retitled Wira of the Uprising in the Polish edition, being just launched in Poland, was my guest today. All the luck with the new book. Many thanks for accepting our invitation.
Thank you very much. I hope readers enjoy it.